Yes, good morning, students, and welcome to the class of SAP. Good morning, Nagraj sir, and a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam. A very good morning.
Yes, sir, you may please start the session, sir.
Sure, madam. Yeah. So a very good morning to all of you. Let's have a quick recap of what we did yesterday. So from yesterday onwards, we have started to see the SAP system, the live SAP system. So I presume that we have, or at least I have touched upon the points of how you need to and what is the process to be followed to reach an SAP system. In the sense, what is the first and the foremost activity that you need to do? That is bringing in the GUI. So yesterday the process was also discussed. And let me repeat, people who have already by any chance downloaded this in the earlier, not only in this case, but in the earlier cases, earlier also much before this session started, if somebody was already working on the SAP system and has already got the GUI, they do not have to reinstall all over again. All right, so it's a one-time activity, and once you have downloaded your launchpad, it is over. The next thing is a system SAP system credentials, where we were trying to bring in the server, the SAP server on which we are supposed to work. Clear? The third point was the login credentials, the user credentials, the personal credentials of a person who is supposed to work on the system. So I think we have gone through these things also. And please make a note that this password is case sensitive. And please make a note of this user ID and your passwords. And I'm not very sure, probably you may be given, and all these informations, that is what you people, what is the client that you're supposed to work on, what is the user ID and what is going to be your passwords. You will be getting a mail in this regard. OK, and accordingly, you need to carry out this activities. Right now. And as far as the password is concerned, all right, it is case sensitive. And at least in the initial stages, please do make it a practice to make a note of this password and the user ID. Why? Because again, I'll repeat. Once you give a erroneous password for 3 times, the system gets locked. You need to approach your system admin to reopen the lock. So in the live scenario, what happens? You may not know how quickly the system admin may respond, because he will be in his own work. All right. So that is the reason as to why you need to ensure that you give the correct password, and please also ensure that you password is actually a mix match. You can have alphabets, you can have numbers, you can have a mix of both. Yeah. Now we saw all this yesterday. What is an easy access screen? And we also saw that once you open the easy access screen, it is not that all the operations or all the activities can be carried out in one screen. In the sense, suppose you have to, based on where the person is working, he may have different roles assigned to him. He may be in the consolidation department, he may be in the AR department, AP department. So basically, based on his nature of work, he will be authorized to enter a few places or only a few transactions pertaining to his everyday work. All right. Now, so yesterday also we saw places how you need to navigate within the or how a end user navigates within the easy access screen to carry out his different functions, like say entering a journal voucher, entering a customer invoice, entering a vendor invoice. All right. And we also got exposed to something called as the transaction codes. You can see this here. So yesterday we saw all this practically. Okay, what is this SPRO? So as I said, once when you have given all these credentials without any errors, SAP will open out a screen in the easy access mode. Okay, and in the easy access mode, if at all you want to go back to your consulting screen. So we also saw a few places, and I mean, we were trying to understand the easy access screen. So we understood what is a command box or the command field, whatever you may want to call it. Okay. So there, that is the place where you enter the transaction codes. So what is a transaction code? It is nothing but a shortcut key for you to enter into a specific transaction directly. You don't have to navigate through the easy access screen. You don't have to navigate through the easy access menu. All right. So these are a few examples of the transaction codes. And also make a note that not all the transaction codes are 4-character. It can be more also. So like we are going to see FBL3 and FBL5 and FBL1N. We're going to see that shortly. Okay. Now, we also came across a concept called as favorites, where the user customizes his working screen. What do I mean by this? Suppose I am working in the AR department and I would not be interested to know, or rather in the very first initial stage itself, I will not be given access to work on any other area. Okay, that is a foregone conclusion. I will not be given access to enter into other areas at all in SAP. The authorization will be restricted to only my job. Now, I am working on 3 or 4 activities in the AR department. So what happens? I may have to visit 3 or 4 places to whatever access I have got. I'll have to navigate through all these 4 activities in my easy access screen. So instead, what I can do, I can simply create something called as a favorite. So what does a favorite do? I can customize my easy access screen so that I can work on only the options authorized by my organization and only the transactions for which I am eligible to. It could be a report in the AR section, or it could be a customer invoice. It could be a receipt, receiving a receipt from the customer. So this could be my various operations, what I need to carry out as an employee. So all these transactions, whatever I said, I can customize it in my SAP screen under something called as favorites. Don't worry, I'm going to show this. And yesterday we discussed a few functionalities. What was a major functionality what we discussed? You saw that I had downloaded the master list of the general ledger accounts Of course, you didn't know that what I had downloaded, but what I was trying to tell you is I pulled out a report in the SAP screen and I downloaded it onto my Excel. I saved that particular output on my desktop as an Excel file. So you found that interesting, right? And this is, believe me, users are thrilled at this option because whenever they're asked for a report, the user cannot be expected to take the screen in front of the manager and pull out the screen and show it. No, he would want to have a look at the report as a hard copy. And how would you achieve that? You download the report onto any format what you want, in the form of a text, in the form of an Excel file, whatever, as as the situation demands. Clear? So this is these are the a few functionalities what we saw yesterday. And we also saw what is F4, what is F1. We also saw the, one second, let me add that. What was this F1? You can get the help, and this is as developed by SAP itself. Suppose I remember having taken you into a screen where I wanted to understand what a particular field. I think we were looking at a field called reference. And I wanted to understand what is the meaning of that field reference. So I wanted the SAP explanation for that. So what did I do? I went into that field, pressed F1 on my laptop, and I could see the SAP documentation. And we also saw pertaining to that particular field, when I pressed on that spanner icon, don't worry, I'll show you all this. Let me not call technical help, information. Right? We saw what is this technical information? How this field is recognized within the SAP system. See, I know the meaning of reference. As an English term, I know what it refers to. Well, what is the meaning of the term reference? But will SAP understand this particular information? Will SAP understand the meaning of reference? No. So SAP understands the meaning through the technical language, through ABAP. Okay, so that is the what should I call that? It is an additional information what your F1 provides. Not only the meaning of that particular field, but also how SAP recognizes that particular field in SAP. Okay, I will explain more about this technical information a little later. Okay, but we did see this. The spanner icon within the F1, when I pressed F1 on that field, it took me into the English explanation of that field, and also told me when I pressed on the spanner icon, it also took me into the SAP, how SAP understands that particular field. Clear? So what else did we see? We also saw, so somebody was asking me about consolidation. A very good question. So how does the consolidation happen within the SAP, if at all there is a requirement? Okay. So as far as our understanding of SAP goes, And as far as the FI module is concerned, or as a matter of fact, any module, we have the client information as a mandatory information to be provided to the system, and also the company code on which you are transacting. So we saw that, right? GM01. So it was always pointing to, when I open the journal voucher, it showed that GM01 as a company code. And I also showed you how you can change the company code. Suppose you wanted to work not on GM01, but you wanted to work on the other sister concern, GM02. So how you could change the company code while you were transacting. And somebody was asking me for the cross company transaction. So what does a cross company code transaction mean? The cross company transaction is the transactions happening between the sister concerns. What do I mean by the sister concerns? They have to be necessarily under the head office, the common head office. So yesterday you also saw this activity. So where I defined the head office, Tata HO. What did I define this as in the SAP terms? I defined Tata HO as a company, not as a company code. So company code are the ones who report, they are the child entities of the HO. So here the child entities which are referred to as the company code, they are legal independent entities who can produce who can independently on their own produce the financial statements. Clear? And what do they do with this financial statements? They report back to the head office. Clear? And that is the concept of consolidation. Clear? So any other points which we discussed? So we saw how we created the company, where we saw the company code GM01. But of course, I am very doubtful if we will be given access to the SPRO part of SAP, and it's not required also. Even I would keep the consultants side of whatever I'm explaining. I will keep it to the basic meaning, and that is only to make the subject more and more interesting, and also tell you how the information is flowing, so that you are in a much better position to understand the concept. Clear? So we saw GM01, we saw, and most importantly, we saw a template company code 0001. What is this template company code? And yesterday somebody asked me, what is the difference between 0001 and GM01? 0001 company code is available as a part of the SAP product, as a part of the standard SAP product. Why? GM01, and what do I mean by the standard SAP product? You can see this company code in any of the SAP systems in whichever part of the world you open SAP. But is it applicable to our company code GM01? No, it is not a standard deliverable of the SAP system. It is not a part of the standard SAP system. It is only for this specific course that I'm taking that as an example, because the creation of a company code is not necessary for you to understand. You need not have to create anything new. You are only supposed to understand what is happening in GM01. Okay, so GM01 is applicable only to our course. It is not available as a part of the standard SAP system. This is exactly what is the difference between your 0001 and GM01. And another important point, none of us as professionals of the SAP system, we ever directly work on 0001. It is actually not a good practice. We do not work on 0001 at all. It is there to offer some help. That is all. We are not directly supposed to carry out any transaction in 0001. We are supposed to simply have a look at it and carry out the functions whatever we want to on our created company. In this case also, as far as our servers are concerned, GM01 is created for this purpose. Okay, we are not supposed to work on 0001. So please make it a habit that in any other place also 0001 should not be touched at all for the transactional purposes. Clear? So this is all. Did I miss out on any other? Let me just have a look. Okay. Fine. So we looked at the downloading of the SAP information onto Excel or Word, whatever. So when is the vice versa possible? Can I upload data from an other tool, for example, your Excel, onto the SAP system? Yes, that is exactly what we do in the cutover activities phase. If somebody remembers the final preparation phase of the project, this is where we use a lot of transfer of data from Excel, or rather upload data from Excel to the SAP system. And the tool what we use as functional consultants is called as LSMW. This is just as an additional information what I'm trying to tell you. So your LSMW stands for your legacy system migration workbench. It is a good to know point. If somebody asks you, can I download the SAP data into Excel? And is vice versa also possible? So you know what to answer, and you know what the answer is. In both the cases, the answer is positive. It is S. Okay. Now we are going to see more of this. Don't worry. Okay. So what do I? So yesterday, I'm assuming that I have touched upon this point. We also saw where GM01 was in the SAP system. Now, after having created the company code in our SAP system, what is the next information that a consultant provides to carry out the transactions on that particular company code? See, if I simply create GM01, that does not permit me to carry out the transaction. One should not assume that I have created the company code GM01, so I can enter the journal voucher now. How will you enter the journal voucher? So for you to carry out the operations on your company code, there are lots and lots of other things what you need to do. Okay. So what is the first thing? What is the first information that the consultant provides to the company code as a next step to complete the creation of the company code? What is the next information that the consultant gives? It is the financial year of the business. And how does he give this information? He gives it in the form of a fiscal year variant. So the next information what SAP expects is you will have to let know the system. You will have to let know the system as to what is the financial year of the business. I'll put it down. So here we are trying to discuss the variant could be a new term introduced, but what is a variant? It is nothing but a entity. That is all. Nothing beyond that. So what probably could the company follow as a financial year? Calendar year, fiscal year. This is Jan to December. Typical European or your US clients, they follow this. Non-calendar. Very simple. No? It is not following the calendar year. For example, Indian business. What does it follow? April to March financial year. Do you agree? So whenever you create a company code, in our case GM01, the next information what should follow to be given by the consultant or to be created by the consultant. The fiscal year variant is also a creation of the consultant. You as end users need not know how a consultant creates the fiscal year variant. Not required at all. Not required. But do we have any other variations? Probably if a client wants to follow, or rather is following, let us say August to July financial year. Let me assume that you get a scenario where you need to configure a financial year variant between August to July. Maybe some business is following that. We don't know. Can you say that SAP doesn't allow this? You cannot do so. Because if a client is really following this, if X Limited is really following this August to July financial year, and in the very first point, he will say, I don't want SAP. Because SAP is not even meeting my requirements. So why do I want SAP? Correct? So now, this is the responsibility of the consultant to create this financial year variants. Now, as far as the company code was concerned, just allow me 2 minutes. as a standard creation, you saw, I said 0001 was a standard company, or rather, it was a part of the standard SAP system. Correct? Do we have something very similar? Do we already have the calendar year financial year variants already being defined in the SAP system? Yes. Normally, K4 is the standard variant which normally we use as far as the overseas projects are concerned. So whichever business is following the January to December financial year, we have a ready-made financial year variant indicated by K4. Why K4? There is no explanation for that. Okay, why K4? It is a standard. Why 0001? It is a standard. What SAP has followed. Clear? Now, as far as our Indian business scenario is concerned, do we also have a standard variant or a standard entity which is providing you with this information? What is the information? It has to be the April to March information. So I should be in a position to tell the system that this particular variant is following this information April to March. Yes, we do have the standards in the form of a standard financial year variant V3. I will show you both the things in SAP in the system, don't worry. But as far as the explanation of how the SAP standard SAP product is actually developed, I'm telling you this. Now, is there a standard for this also? August to July? No, because it is not a standard form of business. It is only exceptional cases. So in this case, the consultant has to create a financial year variant giving the SAP system this information, August to July. So in this case, he may define it as A1, A2, A3, whatever. Okay. So as I said, even in our general practice, just like the standard is the numbers, we also have a numerical company code, a company code indicated by numbers. We do not have something like, of course, this is just a template. This is just for the explanation sake. So you can still have any company code, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatever. But in the live project scenarios, you will definitely make use of the numbers. Okay. So this should be created by the consultant. And what is the use of SAP providing you with the standards? Why should SAP provide? This is for the consultant, okay, to prevent him to create another new financial year. He can as well make use of the standards defined by the system. Okay. And interestingly, there is something called as the followed by SAP variant principle, which is being followed by SAP. What is this variant principle? What did I say a variant was? It is nothing but an entity. It could be a now we are discussing the financial year, fiscal year variant. It is an entity which simply informs the SAP system as to what is the financial year based on how it is defined. Can you see this? How it is defined? So what are the steps in the variant principle? The variant needs to be defined in the first place. It has to be populated with data. It has to carry some information. Correct? That is what I mean by population. And the third and the most important step is assign. Any variant you create will be assigned to a company code, necessarily to a company. Since we are talking about the finance module, so every variant will be assigned to a company code. Like say, do you remember the concept of assignment? I set up a relation between Tata HO and GM01 and GM02. So what did I do with that step? I informed the SAP system. What is the information that I gave it to the SAP system? GM01 and GM02 are governed by Tata HO. So how did I do it? I assigned the company code to the head office. I assigned. So assignment is the most important of the activities. Yes, how will the system understand? If you simply define something and do not assign it to the company code, how will the system understand what it needs to do with that? Correct. So this is called as a variant principle in SAP. Define the variant first, populate the variant with the relevant information, and assign it to the company code. This is exactly what happens in our system also. So as a standard, you will always see company code 0001 assigned to K4. So what do I mean by this statement? So SAP as a standard product is letting you know that the standard company code 0001 is following the calendar year variant. So basically, if you are asked a question, how many types of fiscal year variants are existing in the system? The answer is very simple: calendar year, non-calendar year. That's it. All right. So where do you see this? So you can see that in the standard SAP system, 0001 is assigned to K4. Standard. Why do you have to carry this activity? Obviously, SAP should understand as to what is this business body, what is the financial year that it is following. I hope things are clear till this moment. Now, let us go back to our SAP system and see this. Clear? I think probably I may have to pull out the study content also. Just hold on. I'm just logging into the SAP system so that I can tell you where exactly this particular information is located. I can as well share the desktop, I guess. Okay, I will share the desktop. All right, I'm just straight away getting into the SAP I have opened. All right, this is your area, SAP Easy Access. Now, where do you see this assignment? Obviously, you cannot see anything in the Easy Access session. Okay, so I will have to go back to the consulting screen, which is your SPRO or your IMG, whatever. So the transaction code is SPRO. Okay, SAP Project Referent Organization. Somebody was asking me what is the abbreviation for SPRO. I think I have also written it down in the Excel sheet. So I click on SAP Reference IMG. Now, okay, even before this, okay, not a problem. Financial accounting. Now see, the navigation becomes a little complex, but of course, this is not your area because I'm in IMG. It is strictly the job of a consultant. But I was taking you to a place where you see these entities because in the easy access, it is not possible for you to see this particular information. Okay. Financial accounting. Financial accounting, global sync. See the options. Okay. Please do not trouble yourself as to knowing what this is. Fiscal year and posting periods. This is where you can see the fiscal year variant. See, maintain fiscal year variant, assign. I will go the reverse way. I will first tell you, I'll first prove the statement that to which fiscal year variant your standard is assigned. Now, another important thing, whenever you happen to get hold of the IMG screen, as you can see, each and every option, it has an F8 execute, your clock button. To the left of the option, to the immediate left, you can see the clock button. You click, it takes you into the transaction. Transaction of what? Maintain fiscal year variant. Now, if at all you want to have a detailed documentation of what is a fiscal year, typical SAP explanation, you can see that you also have a documentation here. Can you see IMG activity documentation? There is a paper and a spectacles icon. All right. So you click on this, you get the explanation of that particular. See, there is a huge explanation as to what a fiscal year variant is all about. Clear? Okay, so you can just see, I was telling you about the calendar and the non-calendar. Did I see something? And settings, I saw somewhere the calendar. See? Don't worry. Okay, this is where you see the, this is what exactly what I was telling. Calendar year, non-calendar year. Your fiscal year is not the same as a calendar year. This is non-calendar year. Your fiscal year is the same as a calendar year. So basically you have two fiscal year variants, two categories, calendar year, non-calendar. Now, I will first go to the assign. I clicked on the clock icon. So this is execution. See, somebody has changed. It is actually K4. This is how your standard looks like. Your standard company code gets assigned to your K4. It is, what is that? Calendar year variant. How do I ensure that it is calendar year? I will tell you. And you can see the other company codes, they are assigned to various other fiscal year variants created by the user. Now let us take our example. To what fiscal year variant is my GM01 assigned? So what did I do? I went to the position icon, clicked. So your position icon is equivalent to your find. Okay, GM01. This is assigned to V3. So I think you're at least familiar with what V3 is. You can see the English explanation to the right, April to March. Clear? You are seeing something called as a special periods. What is the special periods? I will explain. So now, did you know, or rather, so now we are clear about the how the actual assignment takes place. Okay. Now, how does the consultant create a fiscal year variant in the first place? Or what are the contents of V3? How does SAP know that V3 is between April to March? How will it know? Maintain. I have clicked on the execute button. Go and look for V3 position. Now you can see the V3 here. It has 12 months of regular postings. 12 months, April, May, June, July to March. OK, so this is not anything new. I'll explain what is this for. Now, if you want to see the contents, or rather, the first question I'll answer is, OK, I will show you the contents of V3. Click on this, select this icon, select this particular entity, V3. All right. Go to periods onto your left. Double click. Now you will see the how your April to March information is actually defined. April, 30 days is your first period. It is your first month of posting. May, 31 days is your second month. June, third month, 30 days is your third month of posting. Similarly, you can see July, August, September, October, November, December. They are on the top. You can see January, February, March. The 10th month is January, the 11th month is February, the 12th month is March. So this is how you provide the information for a specific fiscal year variant. How do you think the consultant would have carried out defining this? The first and the foremost, he would have gone to new entries. First thing is he would have defined. He would have defined here. He would have gone to new entries and he would have defined fiscal year, fiscal years, maybe whatever it is, whatever you want to call it as A1, A2, B1, B2, whatever. And you give the description and you tell the SAP system whether it is year dependent, that it is following the calendar year or not. See? So I didn't show you the K4, correct? K4. Can you see in V3, you didn't see the calendar year checkbox checked, correct? You didn't see the tick mark as far as V3 was concerned. But now you see K4, this calendar year is checked. The checkbox is checked. What does this mean? This tick mark in this box is an enough information for the SAP system to understand that K4 is a calendar year. That is, it follows the calendar year, January to December. I do not have to explicitly define January, February, March. I don't have to do it. Just like I did for V3. Any other variation, the consultant must provide the months. But whereas when K4, you see the calendar year checkbox already checked. This is more than enough information telling that K4 is a calendar year variant. It follows the January to December financial year. Clear? This also has 12 months, 12 regular months. See, if I want to see the contents, what K4 contains within itself, just like you saw April, May, June in V3, do you see something like that in K4? Click on the periods. It says, what is the message? Periods cannot be maintained for calendar dependent financial year variance. Why do you think this message? It is because of this checkbox. SAP is intelligent enough to understand that if you check this box, it is more than enough to tell me that it is January to December. Did you understand? This is your K4 and your V3. Okay. Even before this, we had to discuss the general ledger master data, which I'll talk to you in the next half. Okay. So was this understood? No problem. You can ask me questions. You can take a 2 minute, just think about whatever has happened. Come back to me with questions. We'll meet up in another 1 minute. All right. Madam, do I see any questions?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Madam, shall I get into the Q&A section or will you?
Yes, I'll read out to you, sir.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yes. And question is, can we transfer data from Word or Tally to SAP?
Word, yes, you can do it, but Tally, I really don't know. I'm not in a position to comment on how you transfer data from Tally to SAP. Okay. So probably one thing is, I don't know. You can download data from Tally to Excel or something and transfer it back to SAP. That could happen that way, but I wouldn't be in a position to comment on Tally. But Word and Excel, yes, for sure. As I showed you, it is possible. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Next question is, I did not get the meaning of this fiscal year variant. Can you please explain it once again?
Simple, very simple. Fiscal year variant is an entity which contains the information as what is the financial year of the business. Is it going to be January to December, or is it going to be from April to March, or is it going to be something else? The information which contains the financial year of the business is the financial or the fiscal year variant. That is all, nothing more. I hope I was clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Next question is, can we maintain different time period of financial statement for different countries if they are applicable in SAP?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can do it.
So next
Yes,
question is, yeah, can we change company code according to company, or it is always, does it always show GM01 for all companies?
I didn't understand this question, but the thing is, if at all you want to change GM01 after you have created and saved the data in SAP, it is not possible for you to change the code. Your GM01 cannot be converted to GM02. You will have to create a new entity. That is exactly what SAP does. SAP will not allow you for the physical deletion of the data. Okay, the deletion of data is not possible. Even if it is possible, there is a huge methodology to be followed for deletion. I hope I have answered that question to the best possible extent as to how much of the question I have understood, madam. I don't know. So once anything is created, not only your company code, okay, you cannot change the data. You cannot change the name. Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Next question is, if situations arise posting entries in previous years, how can we proceed posting?
Yeah. Now you saw, let us assume that you have finished the financial year, March 31st. Do you think that there will be no entries after March 31st pertaining to the previous year? Because your auditors will come in and they will ask you to pass certain entries, right? Adjustment entries or whatever it is. So how do you accommodate those entries? Just a couple of minutes ago, I highlighted something called as a special periods while defining the fiscal year variant. Can you see the special periods out here? Just exactly what allows you to enter or carry forward with the entries pertaining to the previous period or to the previous year. But word of caution, You cannot do this at each and every moment. No, you will have to obtain the necessary permissions from your management. Then and only then you need to carry forward this activities. This is strictly the concept of special periods. What you're seeing here is only for you to accommodate those entries as advised by your auditor or by your corporate office or by any other authority. You cannot say that I just forgot to pass this invoice and I'm going to pass it today. No, such reasons are not at all allowed. These special periods, they allow you to post the entries or pass the entries pertaining to the previous financial year or to the previous period. Yeah, I hope I have answered that question. Anyway, I'll come back to the special periods, but since you have already asked me a question, I think I have also finished explaining this. Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Only these many questions.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll come back to this. Not a problem. So, madam, can we break? Can we have a short break of 5 minutes?
Yes, sir. Sure. Sir.
Yeah.
So now it's 12:02. We'll meet by 12:07. Take a quick
Sure.
break and be back.
Sure. Okay. Yes, madam, I am back.
Yes, yes, sir. We can resume the session.
Yeah, sure. So there was a very good question just before we took a short break as regards how do you carry forward the transactions pertaining to the previous year. Okay, this happens is through a concept called as special periods. Special periods in SA. But as I said, these special periods are to be used only under the authorization or the permission by the top management. Why did I include the word period here? Suppose I am closing the books of accounts on a monthly basis. It is not the year end. Okay. So if I'm closing the books of accounts, let me assume that I have closed the books of accounts for April. April 30th, 2024, I have closed the books. Now, today, I get a transaction pertaining to the month of April. So how do I affect that entry? Now, I cannot make use of the April month because the April month will be, I cannot, so system will not allow me to record any entries as far as the previous month. So how do I do it? So I make use of the normally this concept of special periods is applicable for the year end. Let me not use the word period. Okay, once when you finish the financial year and when your auditor or your head office, they want you to carry out certain, it could be not necessarily your correction entries or your whatever. See, whatever they have observed. Okay, they would ask you to pass those entries. So how would you accommodate? The year would have got closed because on March 31st, you have closed the books of accounts. So what feature of SAP would you take to allow this particular transaction to happen? So in the fiscal year variant, you have something called as a special periods or the special posting periods, which will help you to take these entries forward. Okay, but as I said, it cannot be for entries saying that, okay, I forgot the entry for March 31st. No, it is not possible. It has to be approved. It has to come from a competent authority only. Only then you are allowed to make these entries in the special period. I hope I have answered that question. And in SAP, you are allowed a maximum of 4 special periods. It is enough for you to know that you are provided with an option of only 4 special periods. Clear? What is this? I feel that I'll be complicating this issue if I explain as to why only 4. Just know that you have your 12 months of posting and your special periods. As I said, it is for accommodating the entries of the previous financial year. That is even before you completely close the books of accounts. Clear? So what do I mean by this? Now, suppose in my case, I close my books of accounts, but I need to submit it to my head office. All right. So here I'll be having an auditor. There also I'll be having an auditor at the head office. So the head office will get the accounts scrutinized by their auditor, and I also would get my books of accounts audited by my auditor. So both the auditors may pass some entries which I may have to accommodate in my books of accounts. So that is possible through the special periods. And it is enough for you to know that SAP allows you a maximum of four special periods only. Okay, I think now you'll be comfortable if somebody asks you, what is this concept of special periods? And where do you see that? I again told you where you would see this. I'm logging into SAP. As I said, you will not be seeing anything pertaining to the fiscal year in the easy access mode or in the easy access screen. So what do I need to do? I need to go to my consultant screen by typing SPRO in the command box. I click on the SAP reference IMG. I do not expect you to remember all this, the path in SPRO, because it is not your concern. But I'm showing you where we saw that fiscal year variant. So as you can see, we saw it here, and we saw the contents of the fiscal year in this option. So let me take V3 itself. You see this? In each and every case, you see the special posting periods is 4. You can use less number, not required that you need to use up all the 4. But for me to tell you the business scenario, probably I have a feeling that I may complicate. I'll just keep quiet. Only when somebody asks me a question, I will go about explaining this. Right? The thing is, it could be a little confusing or it could be a little complex. So I don't want to get into the explanation. But all you need to know as far as the meaning of special periods is this is used for, or this is rather used to accommodate the entries, whatever is advised by the competent authority, like your auditors, your head office, or your governmental bodies. Okay, whatever as far as the transactions for the closed year is concerned. Closed year in the sense you are yet to close the books of accounts for March 2024, but you have, or the auditor has advised you to pass some entries as of today pertaining to the April 2023 to March 2024 accounts, which you are going to accommodate today as of May 10th. Did you get the business scenario? Because I have still not closed the books of accounts for 31st of March 2024. Because the auditor is still looking into my books of accounts. So whatever entries is advised, I would make use of the special periods. You can also call it as a special posting periods to carry forward with this entries. So one very interesting question. Now the auditor has advised me with some entries related to some inventory or something. Forget about it. If I pass the entry as of today, what is the impact? Why can't I pass the entry as of today? Now look at the impact. This entry is logically wrong because I cannot post it today because it is pertaining to the accounts of the previous year. Correct? It is, I need to pass this entry as of 31st of March 2024. First point. The second point, if I pass this entry as of today, just because the auditor asked me to pass the entry, if I pass today, I will be passing this entry affecting the accounts for 2024 April to March 2025 and not for the previous year. Did you understand the impact? So in these circumstances, I would have to put this entry or affect this entry in my previous year. Was this clear? And it is enough for you to know that the number of special periods allowed by SAP, the maximum number of special periods allowed by SAP is 4. And you need not know how this is done, how this 4 is made use of, and why 4. Probably let us not get into it because I'll be complicating this. Okay, not a problem. Now, there is also another very important concept called as shortened fiscal year. What is this concept? Shortened fiscal year. Now, this concept of shortened fiscal year is applicable for seasonal businesses in the sense the businesses which do not operate for the complete year. For example, I may be having an agricultural business which may not run for the whole of the year. I may be having my agricultural business only for 6 months to 8 months. So in that case, I have the concept of shortened fiscal year in SAP. Hold on for a moment. Let us see the SAP explanation for that. Just hold on. I'll log in again. So now, what is the intention? To see the explanation about what is a shortened fiscal year. A shortened fiscal year is a fiscal year having less than 12 months. So as I said, the business may not be operative for the whole of the year. It may be seasonal. So that is where you apply the concept of the shortened fiscal year. But the books of accounts needs to be closed. You will have to produce your financial results and you need to carry forward the closure in the same way. All right. So this is about your shortened fiscal year. So now we also saw how you assign the company code to the fiscal year. Just hold on. So the assignment is a very, very important thing as far as the variant principle is concerned. You will have to assign all your entities to the company code. Because we are talking about the finance module. So all the things, whatever a financial consultant creates will be assigned to the company code. The next important thing, just hold on. Next is your general ledger accounts. Now you have your company code, you have your fiscal year variant. Now with this, do you think that SAP would be in a position to allow you to carry forward with your transactions? Absolutely no. Why? Because you don't know to which set of general ledger accounts your company code is assigned. What do I mean by the set of general ledger accounts? So let me assume X Limited or your GM01 is into some kind of a business and it is following a list of for its transactions based on the definition of its business. It has got some thousands, maybe say 2000 general ledger accounts. Let me assume a set of 2000 general ledger accounts, what the business of my customer is following. So that master list of general ledger accounts is called as the chart of accounts. Your master list of the accounts, what the general ledger accounts, the big list of general ledger accounts, what your business is using is called as the chart of accounts in SAP. This chart of accounts could be as big as I still remember a project where we had 7,000 change general ledger accounts. We had a list of 7,000 plus general ledger accounts, what the business was using. So just imagine we had to get all the 7,000 general ledger accounts into the master. So the master set of the general ledger accounts which any business is using is called as the chart of accounts. Understood? Now, did we happen to see the chart of accounts somewhere in our learning? Yes. Even before I touched upon the subject. OK. You remember I downloaded some data into SAP, into Excel. That was exactly what I did. And OK, do I have that file again? I don't know if I've deleted that. Again, not to worry. I will show you the process of downloading the data to Excel and what exactly is the data that I was downloading. And students, I'm just keeping the explanation as simple as possible. I'm not trying to complicate things by giving you more and more information because it is not required. But from the consultant's point of view, yes. If I was talking to a set of the consultants, my language would have been very different. I would have given you more and more information. But since this is not the uh, stage for me to talk about from the consultant's perspective, I'm keeping things very, very simple, just for you to be in a position to know the things, get exposed to what is there in SAP Finance, or rather what is there in SAP itself. All right, now, what is a chart of accounts? Master list of all the general ledger accounts that a business follows. See here, we spoke about the standards 0001 company code, K4 and V3. They are the part of the standard SAP system. You can find these entities available to you in any of the SAP systems. Yeah. Do we have the same thing applicable for the master general ledger accounts? Yes, you have this entity INT chart of accounts as the standard product of SAP. It is available to you in any of the SAP standard systems. And once again, a word of caution. We are not directly going to work on the standards. Okay. Now, so what do we see in INT? Now, I will show you the SAP system. I'll have to exit out because it is quite some time. Just hold on. I will log in. So the first time we saw the chart of accounts, don't worry about the path. Though I am in the user screen, do not trouble yourself or getting into this. OK, not a problem. You will slowly learn, not a problem. Accounting. So what is it that we are trying to do? We are trying to go and have a look at the INT chart of accounts, which is there as a standard entity in the SAP system. So where do I see financial accounting, general ledger? Since it is a master list of the general ledger accounts, so I choose the logical option. As you can see, in every option, you see something called as an information system. What is this information system? It is a repository of all the reports for the general ledger. All right. First, I will finish this information system. General ledger reports. I will go to the master data. Now you remember something striking. Actually, I went into this option and downloaded the chart of accounts into my Excel. That is when we got exposed to this particular master data. Now I'll double click on this option. There is no execute. Can you see? There is no execute button for me because I'm in the end user screen, easy access screen. Double click. Do not give any other information, but just give the chart of accounts. You want to see where the chart of accounts is? One more example of your function F4. There is a drop down button. Click. Search for your INT. Where do you search? You can see the find icon. INT, and you can click on the binoculars. Not found? No problem. I'll simply type in INT here. Enter. Now I need to execute. So this execute is equivalent to your function F8. Execute. It will pull out all the general ledger accounts in your INT chart of accounts. So this. The numbers what you're seeing on the left are the GL accounts. And this is the English explanation for the GL account. So GL account number 1000 is for capitalizing your real estate and similar rights. Similarly, for your buildings, it is 2000. Clear? So if I do a page down, you can see a huge list of your general ledger accounts. So whenever we are learning, these set of general ledger accounts are more than enough for us to teach us SAP Finance. I do not have to create a new set of general ledger accounts. Absolutely not. So what do I do in that case? I copy this particular INT chart of accounts to my chart of accounts, because as I said, we never directly work on the standards. We only work on the copy. So this INT I copy. How? I will definitely show it to you, but it is a job of a consultant. Okay, and after I copy the data of INT to my own master data, it could be XYZ, it could be whatever. What do? I immediately assign that set of general ledger accounts to my company code. So in this case also, so let me finish with this. And for people who missed out on the way how I need to download this information onto Excel, I'm going to show it to you once more. More list, export. If I want it as any other format, I can go to the local file and then do it. If I want it as a text file, I can go to word processing and then go to spreadsheet. I can select any of the formats. Click on enter. OK, I am downloading this with this name itself, export, onto my desktop. Save. You want to replace it? No, I do not, because export is already downloaded. Now, if you want to see the download export, it is there on my desktop. Where is export? See, you can see this export. So if I double click, it opens the list of general ledger accounts. Did you see the same thing in your SAP? I will just take you to that SAP. Your first GL account was 1000. You see 1000 here. 1010 was your next GL account. Do you see that? So like this, how many GL accounts do you see? You can see close to 900 or maybe close to 900 GL accounts, which is already ready-made for you. And this sample is more than enough for you to learn how SAP works. See how many general ledger accounts do I see? 820 general ledger accounts. So like this, in one of our projects, we had close to 7,000 general ledger accounts, or it exceeded 7,000. Such huge was the business. Now do you assume, now can you just imagine the gravity of the situation? So how would you construct all the 7,000 plus general ledger accounts? Now do you see the job of a consultant where he comes? Correct? So this is how you download this information onto your Excel. Clear so far? Now, so this is the standard. So what else do you see as far as the standards is concerned? So you can see all the general ledger accounts. So if I keep scrolling down, you can compare it with your Excel sheet. OK, so this is where I see. All right, now, as a part of the standard, I can see 0001 company code is assigned to INT. Where do I see this assignment? So obviously I cannot see the assignment in my end user screen. I'll have to go to the consultant screen. So I move from financial accounting to general ledger. Clear? Master data. This is strictly the job of a consultant. GL account creation and processing. Or you can see the preparations. Edit chart of accounts list. Let me first check if my statement is correct. Chart of accounts. You can see the documentation also. SAP related document. I showed you with an example of fiscal year variant. Same thing would be available for the chart of accounts topic. Assign. Now can you see? Your standard 0001 is assigned to your chart of accounts INT. Both are these part of the standard product. To which chart of accounts, to which master list my company code is assigned? My company code is assigned to another chart of accounts GM00. I will show you GM00 also, not a problem. Yeah. So as a consultant, I would create the chart of accounts here. In the previous option, edit chart of accounts list, go to new entries, and I, as a consultant, create the chart of accounts. This is how the SAP consultants in SAP company, they created INT also. Clear? And after of course, I'm not going to create anything new. I say, okay. So this is how a consultant creates the chart of accounts. Now, if you want to see INT, you can see this INT. And how do I see the contents of INT? Just double click on this line, any part of the line. See, I said German is the language in which it is actually done. You can also change it to English. Clear? Clear so far? So this is about your master general ledger accounts. Okay, how the consultant creates, how he assigns it to the company code. Clear? And I also showed you the standard assignment 0001 company code getting assigned to INT chart of accounts, and our template company code GM01 getting assigned to GM00. Okay, let us see GM00. And how do I go back from the consultant screen to the end user screen? I simply use this back arrow. Click, click. I come back to the consultant. I come back to the end user screen. Double click. And here I give the content here, GM00. And I execute, I execute. And I execute now. So you can see somebody has designed the GM00. Okay, can you see this? So this is the concept of your chart of accounts. So you can also see the transaction code up on the right side, the right hand top. Okay. So this is, I don't know who has designed this chart of accounts. Okay. So the way it is designed, you're able to see. And I don't even know the number of GL accounts what the person would have created. And you can also see that this particular entity has got assigned to the GM01 company. All right. So I hope things are clear as far as the present moment is concerned. So this is the concept of course, there is still something more which I'm going to tell you. Just think about this for 2 minutes and come back to me with any questions if you have. In the meantime, just let me take stock of the questions. Hmm. Okay. Next. Okay, can you change company code according to the company? Okay, probably I now I'm reading the question which was asked previously. Can we change company code according to company, or it is always show GM01 for all companies? Probably the question is not clearly framed, but I will definitely take you to the screen where I assume that was a question. Okay. Posting entries in the how would of course I have answered this question. Right. Different time. Okay, we can do that. Not a problem. Okay, I think we have answered most of the questions. And if the person is asking me if the company code can be changed during the transactions, if this is what the person is meaning, if at all this has to be changed to some other entity, just let me know if I have understood the question clearly. I go to this option company code and I can change it. Suppose I want to carry out some other the transactions in some other company code, I can always choose this option. I hope this was a question asked. Of course, I'm just giving you an example. I'm not going to do, see, it has changed. If this was your question, I hope I have answered this question. But if you can let me know, I would be more than happy to answer your question. Now I have restored the company code back to GM01. Okay. I hope this was a question asked and I've understood the question correctly. So just take 2 minutes, think about whatever has happened, and please go ahead and ask me questions. Okay. Take 2 minutes. And I'm keeping the explanation as simple as possible, as we do not want to get into the consultant's role, but I'm just showing you the place where the consultant also goes and works so that it could create more interest in the subject and the flow could be understood much better. That is the only intention with which I am going to the SPRO screen. lots of other interesting things to be discussed. Okay, so I hope things are clearer and they are making sense and it is helping you out in understanding the subject in a better way. Ma'am, do I have any new questions?
Let me check, sir.
Sure.
There is one question. Can we assign chart of accounts to more than one company code?
Yes, the same chart of accounts like we saw GM00, it was assigned to more than one company code. Yes, that is possible. Because when you have sister concerns, basically the consultant would create the master list so as to meet the business requirement for all the businesses of that particular. Now, what I meant to say was, if at all you are designing the SAP for Tata and Sons, for creation of my master GL accounts, I would have to consider the businesses of all your software business, your automobile business, your aircraft business, and your consumer business. I would gather all the requirements of all the businesses of Tata's and then create one huge master list. That's why I said there was a project where we were supporting 23 to 24 countries and it had a huge list of 7,000 general ledger accounts in the chart of accounts. So in that case, TCS would also use the same chart of accounts. The consumer business of Tata's also would use the same chart of accounts. The car business of Tata's would use the same chart of accounts. And so also all other businesses of Tata's. Because the consolidation, if at all just imagine a scenario where these businesses would have these many charts of accounts. TCS was using one chart of accounts. Consumer business was using another chart of accounts. So how would you think the consolidation would take place? Consolidation would be very, very challenging, right? So that is exactly the reason as to why normally we study the business in its entirety and then create one huge master list so that it satisfies the requirements of all the sister concerns. Now, I hope I have answered the question, madam.
Yes, sir.
Any other question, madam, even before I proceed?
Yes, sir. One
Yeah.
question is, if most of the GL account is not relevant for the organization, then what do we do at the time of reporting?
You would not even create them, right? You would not even create them in the first place. If I'll assume your question to be, if a GL account is not used by any of these businesses, why would I even create them? But there are chances that a GL account used by TCS may not be necessarily used by the car business. Quite possible, right? That situation is handled by SAP. But in a case which I assume is your question, if at all the GL account is not used by any one of these businesses, why would I create the GL account in the first place? I wouldn't create. But even if one of the businesses uses that general ledger account and is not used by any of these businesses, I would definitely have to create the general ledger account. I will definitely have to create because that is being used by one of the sister concerns. I hope I've answered that question. May not be all these are using the GL account, but TCS is using the general ledger account. So should I create or not create? I will I must and I should create a general ledger account. All right. Yeah. Now going ahead with the fiscal year variant, or rather with the general ledger accounts or with the chart of accounts, you may come across, of course, I think it is there in your course content. There are different kinds of charts of accounts in SAP. One is called as the operational chart of accounts. COA is a short form for chart of accounts. Operational chart of accounts, group chart of accounts, country chart of accounts. So you have three kinds of charts of accounts which is used by SAP or which can be created in SAP, or three concepts in SAP, out of which the operational chart of accounts is the mandatory chart of accounts which must and should be assigned to the company. These two kinds of charts of accounts are need based. Okay, I'll come back to this after we break for lunch at 2 p.m. All right, madam, can we close the first half?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
So students, sir, there are two more, one or two questions that we can take it up, sir, in the
Tell
next
me the
session.
questions, madam.
Yes.
And that is after the break or before the break?
Yeah, it is after the break only that was there. So we can take
Just tell
it
me
at 2 p.m. Yes.
No problem, madam. You
And
can tell me the questions. I'll make a note of it.
I'll send you the screenshot of the questions.
Sure, madam. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
students will be taking a break now. It's 1 p.m. and next session would be at 2 p.m. So please be sure to log in at 2 p.m. again. Thank you all students. Have a nice. Thank you. See you students at 2 p.m.